Before I get started about the topic of drugs, I would like to point out that I have not taken any drugs during my lifetime, but I did, however, consider some of the drugs, which I'll get into later. The reason that I'm making this video is to give information about drugs and tell stories relating to them that I know of. Anyways, drugs are a medicine or other substance which has a psychological effect when ingested or otherwise introduced into the body. There are four main types of drugs, which are stimulants, depressants, opioids, and hallucinogens. There are also three other types of drugs which are not as important as the other four that I just mentioned, which are dissociatives, inhalants, and cannabis. I'll be talking about each drug from top to bottom. The first type of drug is stimulants, which are a drug that impacts the central nervous system to make people more energetic on high alert. However, if stimulants are taken at high doses, they can lead to effects like death. The long-term effects of stimulants, well, some of them are anxiety, paranoia, seizures, and heart failures. Some drugs that fall under stimulants are Adderall, cocaine, methamphetamine, ecstasy, and caffeine. Alright, I lied at the start of the video because I did take one drug, which was caffeine. Since I'm a heavy tea drinker and such tea contains caffeine, I do technically take caffeine and I technically have a drug addiction. Anyways, I don't have any stories to say about stimulants, but I don't have any fucking doubts about my classmates having a bag of cocaine lying around their house ready to be used. Depressants. Depressants is a type of drug that impacts the central nervous system just like stimulants, however with one major difference. The difference between stimulants and depressants is that stimulants make you speed up and depressants make you slow down. The depressants is given to people that can't feel relaxed. Well, somewhat relaxed. Some drugs that fall under depressants can include alcohol, tobacco, and Xanax. Anyways, the story about depressants is where one of my friends informed me that three students were drinking alcohol and came to school drunk. The cop found out that they were drunk and confronted them. Now, the story here has somewhat vague details, but either the students had confessed to who got the alcohol or confessed who was actually drunk. I think it was the second one where they had to confess who was drunk because my friend told me that the cop had to get some kind of breathalyzer from one of the different cops since he didn't have one on him. And then one of the students of the 3 or 4 gave up and said he was the one drinking, and if I'm correct, he got arrested or something along those lines. The other 3 didn't get caught since the friend was the sacrifice of the 3 or 4. I'm pretty sure it was 4 though. My friend told me this and I believed it since that guy that he was talking about that got arrested wasn't seen in school again. Well, I didn't see him at all at least. There's also another story that Frog mentioned is about a drug that I did not mention until now. Sleep medication, which can be used to help with sleep. The reason I mentioned sleep medication is because my cousin uses sleep medicine because if he doesn't stay up, he'll play video games until forever. I do not know anyone else at my school that uses depressants because that's only belong to those alcohol drinkers, and yeah. Anyways, let's move on to opioids. Opioids is basically a powerful painkiller that are used to, you guessed it, help with pain. Some opioids include heroin, morphine, opium, and oxycodone. Like most, if not all other drugs, there are several side effects that are harmful and will probably kill you. These side effects include damage to the brain, liver, and if you decide to become a Chinese person in the mid-1800s, you will get cardiac arrest. Anyways, hallucinogens. All you need to know about hallucinogens is that they disturb communication within the brain by making you trip and want to join your local gang just to get more of the LSD from there. From what I mentioned, LG is a hallucinogen along with a few others like Zavala. The effects of hallucinogens include things like Vietnam flashbacks that are also distorted while you're also nauseated. Now, I have considered LSD, but after watching stories from people like Luna and also reading about it online, I prefer not to take it because I would rather not be a person that was from the Vietnam War. Dissociatives. Dissociatives are... Okay, to explain this, once you take this shit, you become an introvert that has hallucinations, and you lose your memory. Also depression and suicidal thoughts. But like me and every other teenager, we all have that side effect. So it doesn't matter if you're a teenager. If you're an adult, I'm sorry. So, if you take this, there's no difference between your local school gang, which is also a suicide squad. The dissociatives includes drugs like caffeine and dextromorphin. But here's a question you are thinking. Why would you take these dissociatives if they're just going to make you go crazy and lose your memory? Well, substances from what I've seen on the internet and from my research are used after surgery, so you can use them to help your pain. Inhalants I'm going to save to the last, so we're going to go to cannabis. Cannabis is basically what you see from an everyday poorly paid McDonald's to that school that you have your game at, and basically every other place on earth. There are also several types of cannabis, but there is of course marijuana leaves. There's also things like hash oil and savavas. Personally, I consider these one of the least dangerous drugs, as there are not many confirmed deaths. Well, if there's any confirmed deaths at all. I know several of my friends are big potheads and has weed on them. However, there are two different types of potheads. The first one is the ones that smoke just for the high, which I respect, and that's what all my friends are, because they aren't bragging about it or anything. But then we have those ones that basically just smoke because they just want to look cool. Because I consider that be retarded as fuck, because who cares if you smoke weed. I mean, if you're just doing it for the high, then that's fine, but do not brag about it. Anyways, the side effects of weed, well, some of them, are basically slow reaction, enhanced symptoms, and so on. Then we move on to one of the most fucking retarded types of drugs I've found. Before I decided to throw my computer outside my window, I tried to calmly do this. Inhalants is basically a drug that is made up of household items like glue, paint, markers, room deodorizers, and so on. I consider this very retarded because why would you even do this in the first place? It is just so retarded. I'm more or less more side effects than the other ones just to discourage you from this, even if you're going to try to do this. Anyways, this causes loss of smell, damage to the brain, and they lose bleeds, increase heart rate, lost consciousness sometimes, and if you didn't lose your consciousness, you will get hallucinations. This is one of the dumbest reasons a drug exists out of all the other ones. So that household items are not supposed to be drugs that I get high off of. So don't be Roger from American Dad and snort a bag of glue. Sadly, I had somewhat of a story about this. Anyways, my classmates in 8th grade decided to use a good amount of room deodorizers like sprays and such to basically spray at other students. They don't intentionally spray at their noses, well sometimes probably, but they did do it, and I think a few of them got headaches. Especially me, because we're all trapped in a classroom. So yeah, but we are trapped in a classroom with all that shit going on. Anyways, I hope you learned things about drugs, but please know that I'm not a drug expert, so I do not know everything about them. I just wanted to give you some information about some types of drugs and tell you some stories about them. There are two things to let you know about before I end it here. At the start of it, I said I had considered some drugs yet. I only considered one, which was LSD, that I talked about. I have two other drugs that I also consider, which are e-cigarettes, or its more common term, vaping, and marijuana. Now, for vaping, I have considered it because I have seen a few of my friends use it, and two of my good friends does vape, but I will only try it if I find a certain flavor that seems interesting to me. Then we have marijuana. I'm interested in the effects of marijuana because, from what I've seen, it makes you more calm at school. Because let's be honest, school makes you on edge for the entire day. Anyways, I am going to do my high school story next time. Signing off.